Good morning. This is not a fluke. I am really here live and in person on Throwback Thursday. And if you remember Monday, I missed us because I just thought it was still a weekend. I ain't gonna hold y'all. Happy Juneteenth to everyone, because today is Juneteenth. So decided let me do Throwback Thursday a little bit different. If you look down in the description, you're going to see a video link. That video link is the first video that I did when I applied for the Tulsa Remote program. So today I want to talk about a quick life update. What has life been like since I applied 2 years ago? Um, and yeah, we could just kind of have a conversation about that. So, um, 2023, I literally received the video from my sister. My sister sent me a TikTok, and it was places that would pay you to move. And once you get into that algorithm, everything like starts coming in, related to that topic. And Tulsa Remote was one of the programs that I had heard about before, but I think like whenever I did apply, I don't think they was accepting applications. So I just kind of always forgot about it. But that day, I said to God, I'm gonna apply because the application they were accepting applications, and I just said I know that this is the place that I need to be in. So that is the reason why I said I'm gonna apply. I'm not gonna tell people. I'm not gonna get people's opinion. I'm not gonna get their insight. I'm just gonna apply because I needed this change. So the why that I applied is that since 2014, I had this feeling of I didn't belong in New York since 2014. And it got stronger and it got harder for me to deal with it. You kind of because we are just conditioned to just suck it up. People have that mindset, suck it up, you'll be okay. It's not that serious, go ahead and just do it, that type of mentality. And so that was where I was at for almost 10 years when I was in New York, 9 years. And so when I got this opportunity to at least apply, I was just like thinking of all of the new energy that I would enjoy, that I would experience being in a new environment, going from a city. Because if we just look at Brooklyn, right? I'm from Brooklyn. Brooklyn alone has over 2 million people. That's not in all New York City. New York City has 5 boroughs. Brooklyn is just one. So one of 5 has over 2 million people. That's a lot of people in the city, right? So that's just giving perspective. So to leave Brooklyn, 2 million people, and to potentially go into Tulsa that had at the time just over 400,000, I already knew there was going to be a huge energy shift, right? And so I was just really excited about that. I was looking for that new feeling that my spirit and my soul can like vibe in and can just exist without feeling anxious, without feeling annoyed and frustrated because of the New York City struggles. And so that's something that was really, that I was looking for. And the reason why I know I didn't leave before that and go somewhere else is because a lot of the other places that I know people commonly will move to were not resonating with me. Like I knew I definitely wasn't feeling Atlanta, no shade, but it's not a place that I can. Like, half of Brooklyn that left went to Atlanta, right? And so I don't want that, right? I don't want to have the same experience that I had in New York in another city. And I didn't feel called. I do like Charlotte. Like Charlotte is nice, but it just wasn't resonating with me. So the one thing that I could say is I took my own decision out of it, and I just said, all right, God, I'm just going to allow you to do whatever you're going to do the way that you're going to do it, and send me to the city that you see fit for me to go to. And that was my prayer, right? That was my prayer, and that was how I did it. So I literally just put everything in God's hands. And yes, I went through 9 years. He probably was speaking to me earlier than that. But again, until you are ready to hear, until you're ready to listen, you're not going to hear these things. This is going to go over your head. So I'm just excited that I did listen and I actually did apply for the program. So that was 2 years ago that I applied for Tulsa Remote program. And again, you can watch that video down below in my description. I'm also going to put it somewhere up here so that you also can just click and you can just go through that journey with me, because I did move. Disclaimer, I did move, right? That's the first video just talking about the application. And that's what I shared, all of that. I shared the application, I shared the interview, I shared every kind of every aspect of the program. So if you are interested in Tulsa Remote, please make sure that you go through those videos and you just kind of get an idea and get an insight. But I always say apply for yourself, because everyone has a different experience, right? I'm just one of the people that I'm open to sharing, because I know that there was someone out there like me who was like, I'm interested in this program, but I don't see people coming from big cities or people like me doing this. So I am here. That's the reason why I am here. And I'm actually one of the ambassadors for Tulsa Remote as well. But yeah, so the second thing is that the challenges that I face in year one versus the clarity. Good morning, Jen. The clarity that I found in year two. So for me, year one was pretty cool, right? Year one in Tulsa. First of all, the first thing that year one did for me was heal my nervous system. It healed my nervous system. You don't realize when you're in the hustle and bustle of New York City or any big major city, how much your body is on autopilot. It's just constantly going, constantly going. So to come here and not have that, to come here and not be someplace where it's going to take you 30 minutes to go 5 miles. It's not going to take you, an hour to find parking, right? Those are not the realities that we have here. And, on top of just being able to just maneuver and not have a whole bunch of people, that made my nervous system so calm. So I honestly feel like my first year, right? So my friend Jen, I'm happy that Jen is on here. Jen and I went to college together. Jen moved to Florida 10 years ago. I remember when she moved there. And she said exactly what I just said. That's how I felt when I lived in Miami. Oh, so she felt that way, like nervous system, everything. Because Miami's like a New York. So I can see that. So yeah, because even the last time I visited Miami had my nervous system. And I was like, yo, let me go. Like, luckily, when I go to Miami, I stay closer to North Beach and Fort Lauderdale. But to be in Miami, it's a lot, right? And so for me, coming to Tulsa at first, it was just like my nervous system was just able to just relax and calm down and just go, right? Like, all right, girl, having access to the sun so often. I saw an article maybe like a month ago, and it said that, good morning, Paula. I saw an article a month ago, and it said that Oklahoma was one of the sunniest states, right? One of the sunniest. And I've done two podcasts about my move to Tulsa, and that's something that I talk about a lot, like having access to the sun, And people be like, "Well, this New York has the sun. New York does have the sun." But what people tend to forget is that New York also has very tall buildings. So when you are in an area that has a lot of buildings, you're not really gonna like feel the sun. In Tulsa, I can take y'all right now outside with this laptop. It's pretty sun is coming out. But if I do a video at like 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock here, sun is peaked, it's bright, it's out. I can feel it. I don't have to go drive anywhere to get into open space, because Oklahoma is land and it's just flat. So we don't have a lot of tall buildings. Our downtown has like maybe 10 tall buildings. And I mean, their tall buildings is maybe like, if it may be 80 floors. Don't quote me, but but that was another thing. Just having access to the sun and just realizing how healing the sun is, right? I have felt so much better since I've been here because I have that. And I know that, my vitamin D's are going up. Vitamin D helps you to become happier. Like, these are all things that we tend to forget that we need. And I'm not like, I love it. I love having access to nature, to the sun, and it can be right here. I don't have to go anywhere. We have a beautiful park called the Gathering Place. It was USA Today's #1 park in 2024. We didn't win in 2025, but we did win in 2024. And it reminds you, if you have ever been to the New York City's Brooklyn Bridge Park. It's a artificial park that they made downtown Brooklyn and Dumbo. But the person who helped design the Gathering Place. So it has the similar vibes, but it's just all beautiful, and I just love it. And if I was in New York, I would have to do that. Like, I used to have to go to Brooklyn Bridge Park to go sit out and sit out in the sun. Here, I don't have to do that. That's just the icing on the cake. When I want to go, down to the Gathering Place, I can go down there and I can, get that extra burst of sun, or now just have community because I'm meeting people there. So you don't realize just how much you have access to here, and that's something that I just truly, truly do love. So Jen says, true, I had a vitamin D deficiency. She takes, okay, so you have to take 3 pills, so 3 nuts per day with the vitamin D, 5,000 supplement. Yeah. And I can only tell you how many people I know in New York. And I can only speak for New York because that's where I know people. Vitamin D deficiency is huge, right? It's a huge. Brazilian nuts. She got me out looking crazy. I'm joking. Yeah, I did hear that Brazilian nuts was also good for that. For vitamin D. So that's actually good. But yeah, I hate that. I hate that we have to do that because we're coming from a city that we didn't have it, And I always talk to people about that. I'm like, New Yorkers, we are one of the group of people that we will leave. We will leave our home before the sun comes up, and we don't leave work until the sun goes down. And most people don't go outside. When I used to be the director of operations at a charter school, I used to intentionally push my staff to go outside and say, hey, just take a walk around the block, go get you some sun, go sit in the sun, because I knew we wasn't going to leave there until after the sun went down. And I remember my old director, she was like, why are you doing that? Like, why is that so important to you? And I was like, you should ask yourself why that's not important to you. And I know this was at the peak of my healthy journey. So I was not playing. Like, we're going outside. We're going to get these steps in because we've been sitting all day. So we're not trying to get any blood clots. But we need to get some sun because we need some vitamin D. And again, vitamin D, that's when, if you're finding yourself like depressed, always like in a moody, and you just like, sometimes just going to sit outside can like literally change your whole perspective and your whole energy. So I just like to share that because for me, I have found that the being in the sun has been extremely healing, and it has given me more clarity. The other thing that has happened since I've been here, and as far as like, I don't really feel like I had any true challenges in my first year. It was just that. It was just the healing part physically, mental clarity, and also just, I was taking in a lot of the things that people were saying to me about just my life. Like, oh, well, if you leave and you're still unhappy, then it wasn't New York, and that means that it's a you problem. And I'm just like, some people really don't thrive in certain environments, and I feel like so many people just don't believe that. They believe that, oh, you're leaving, you run away from your problems. I had one person say to me, oh, New Yorkers, we can survive through anything. I said, but why do we have to stay in survival mode? Like, I don't want to stay in survival mode. I want to thrive, right? And so staying there was going to continue to put me in survival versus me being here and I'm thriving, right? I'm going out. I'm able to actually do things and not have the same struggles that I've had before. I can't find parking. Traffic is ridiculous. everything costs too much, so if we do have to pay for parking, because sometimes like downtown might have like two different events going on at the same time, so you might have to pay for parking, and you can pay for parking and it could be anywhere from $2 to $20. Take that same experience in Manhattan, you're easily paying $80. I've paid $60 to take my mom to go see a play because I had to drive down there because of her disability at the time. I had to drive down there and I had to pay $60 for 2 hours. $60. Now imagine if I wanted to take her to dinner. I was like, we're not going to dinner down here. We gotta get back. We gotta get the car and get it out the garage because I want to be able to take you somewhere, but not have to have pay over $100 in parking. Like that's just insane. So in Tulsa, we don't have that. Tulsa, our downtown, if you are at a meter, the meter ends at 5 o'clock. So we don't have meetings until 10 o'clock. The meter's most likely, the most is going to be like $2. Um, you can find parking, and it's just easy to maneuver. And there's always something going on here. So building community, having a social life, it is very possible here. I know that many people will be like, oh, it's Tulsa. It's not that much going on. Now, if you do meet a native Tulsan, I will say this. Native Tulsans don't know about the things that we know about. And I've realized, and my theory could be wrong, but I believe that Tulsa Remote people know more about them because the businesses understand we are coming with a different mindset. We're coming with a little bit of a different perspective. We have desires to do things, right? Not everybody comes here and just stays in their house, even in the wintertime. They will put out newsletters and let us know, yeah, the wintertime things are slowing down. It's not going to be as many events, but we still get newsletters with events that are happening because there's always something going on here. So it might not be an outside event, but it's going to be something that you can still enjoy with your family, something that you can still go out here and enjoy and just get an experience, whether it's connecting with new friends, whether it's going out and doing something holiday themed. Like they're big on holiday here, and y'all know me. I love me some holidays. So that's something that I'm excited about when it comes to Tulsa Remote and just being here. Now that I'm in my second year, this November will be 2 years that I've officially been in the program and I've been in Tulsa. So I'm technically no longer in Tulsa Remote because just a disclaimer, Tulsa Remote's commitment is 1 year, right? So after your 1 year, you can move. You're not getting any more money. Like the 10,000 ends in your first year. So when you stay, you're now a part of the alumni and you are now a part of the status of saying people like Tulsa enough to stay. Right? And that's how they also measure the success of these programs. So there is a website. I'm going to put the website down below. It's called Make My Move because I want people to understand there are so many other programs that are out here. So it's called makemymove.com. I'm going to put it up on the screen, makemymove.com. If you want to check out any of these other programs that they're out here, and like I said, I know Tulsa, there's one on that borderline of Texas and Arkansas. Arkansas? I know I'm probably pronouncing it wrong because they pronounce things different, but there's one there. And then we also have a new one that just came out. I think they just started this program this year in Georgia. I think in Augusta, Georgia. There's Indiana. They have a lot in Indiana. I know West Virginia has one. I actually know someone who went back to New York because Rochester, New York has one. She went up there. Rhode Island. There's a lot of programs. So when you go to these programs, when you go through these to that website, you're gonna start seeing. You start realizing like, oh, Tulsa is most successful because a lot of us we stay, right? We stay past the 1 year, and then the longer that people stay, it's gonna also show how successful the program really is. So this program started. Despite what people think, this did not start because of COVID. They actually had this implemented, unless they knew some insight. But I'm just saying, but this program actually started collecting applicants in 2019. So this was not the start of because of COVID. This was actually in 2019. And I am friends with one of the people that started this program, was one of the first ones, and she is still here, right? That's a beautiful thing. Like people want to hear things like that, right? So I want to share that with you. There are still people here that have been here for 4 years, for 5 years. People like me, almost 2 years. One of my closest friends, 2 years. She's been here. Come September, a lot of us are still around here, enjoying and thriving, loving Tulsa, building the Tulsa, the entrepreneurship. Oh my gosh, the entrepreneurship opportunities here. I was just speaking to one of the young ladies. She's actually a Brooklyn native as well, and she's doing great in tech. Like she's like part of the Black in Tech. And she was telling me, we went to a ribbon cutting for a brand new Black owned business down on Black Wall Street. We went there and I ran into her, and she was just telling me her business is now going to start getting federal contracts, right? Government contracts. And I'm just like, wow, and she was like, yeah, girl, like, no, I'm from Brooklyn too. And I'm like, it's just so inspiring because you're meeting people who are just like you, probably coming from communities just like you are, and they're coming here, and they're bringing all these ideas, and they're like, yo, and now because they're part of the different because like we have different accelerators. So with Tulsa Remote, a part of our package is we get a 3-year membership to a co-working space. They just did a name change. It's called now Gradient. So if you apply, you're going to notice. So it's Gradient. We get 3 years of that completely free. You get access to this amazing facility. You got meeting rooms. You can you can take different classes that they're offering because they partner up with like Tulsa Tech, which is one of the trade schools here. I mean, one of the technical schools here, and they will provide like entrepreneurship 101, how to build your website. I've seen QuickBooks. I've seen Excel in your business, social media. They will have a business coach, someone for financing. Like you get so much support with this particular program. And that's just one, right? There's other ones. We got Building Tulsa. We got I think Atento Capital is a venture capital. Like there's a lot of resources here. You just got to be here and get out there. Because again, I know people that came here and they had a business and their business just continued. And I had some people that had a business idea and they allowed themselves to go through these programs and get grant money, $5,000. The first lady that took me out for coffee when I got here, I need to follow up with her. But I know she's in ed tech, and she said that she the first grant was $5,000. She showed them what she could do with that, and then she got a grant for another $20,000, and she was able to do more with her business and now scale it. And I want to just see where she's at now with it. So there's a lot here, right? And I love that part. Jen has a question: how's the accessibility for those? From what I can see, Jen, I can see that Tulsa is pretty accessible. There are areas, so like downtown, we have like these big hills that, because it's like I always say downtown has two sides of it. And I've seen it the other day because we had something called Tulsa Tough, which is like a bike marathon. So Tulsa Tough was happening on one side of the hill, right downtown, and then on the other side of the hill was First Fridays. And I would say that might be the only place that someone with disabilities might struggle to get up if they're out walking, to get up to go over from one side of downtown to the other. But I feel like the places that I've gone to, museums, very accessible. The parks, very accessible. The only thing I might see might be a challenge is like a lot of the houses, you might have to put up like a ramp because most houses are on slabs. So, or they'll have cross spaces. So you have to have like at least 2 or 3 steps. But like my neighbor, she has that. She had to put in a ramp because she has a disability. That might be the only thing. And most apartment buildings, I do believe, have their apartments that I know my friends who live in, they have wheelchair accessible units. So I feel like Tulsa is pretty accessible, right? I think Tulsa is pretty accessible. Oh, you have a portable. Oh, okay. So that's even better, right? So I feel like Tulsa, that's a good question, Jen. Now you're going to have me paying attention. Let me look, and I'll probably even have a conversation with some of the people some of the people in Tulsa Remote, just to kind of get an idea, because I personally haven't seen too many like in the program come through. But again, I just became an ambassador. So I'm now kind of like in the mix of like seeing the new people that are coming and people that come and ask questions. But even then, when Tulsa does any type of events, they will do it in an event space that is wheelchair accessible. So yeah, I'm glad that you asked that question. And hopefully that can help someone else out there who is potentially looking at possibly coming to Tulsa or exploring the idea of coming to Tulsa. You know, that might be your reality. The last thing I just want to talk about is I just want to just encourage others who are in any form of transition. And it doesn't have to be trying to move to Tulsa. But, you know, whatever you are really believing God for, I want you to allow him to just take you on this journey. It's when you do it his way, it's gonna blow your mind, right? I can honestly say, one, I never had an envision on living in Oklahoma, right? If you would have told me 10 years ago, Tanisha, in 2025, you're gonna be sitting in your house telling people about your time in Tulsa, and you know, from the time that you applied and how life has changed since you applied, I will literally tell you that you're crazy. Absolutely not. But when I realized that, when I said that prayer to God, God, if this is where you want me to be, I need you to make this seamless. I need you to make this easy. And he did exactly that. And I felt like that was God saying, yes, because I want you to go. And I'm here, you know, and being open to just experiencing new. I think last week's throwback Thursday message was just that message, that we have to get into a space where we remember, right? This is something that I truly, I truly want, and I'm going to continue to just do it the way that God wants me to do it. So yeah, I just want to encourage you. If you are looking to move, I can give you some resources. I can help you as far as, listening to other people's stories. I'm in a space of, I'm not trying to convince anyone to come here unless you want to come here. If this is something that you're like, you know what, Tanisha, this sounds pretty cool. Let me talk to you. Yeah, hit me up before you apply so we can have a conversation. But there's other people out here who are just wanting to go to other countries, and one of my, kind of find out we're in the same sorority, but she has a podcast. It's called the Relocation Pod. And she interviewed me, but she has interviewed, I think, over 25 people that have moved between in New York, within the States and even out the country. She's now highlighting people that have moved out the country. And when I went to Colombia, I met a lot of people that have moved out of the States and now they live in Colombia, or they're just digital nomads and they're just traveling. So I met a couple from actually Threads. We never met in person, but we still keep in contact. But this young lady and her husband, they get opportunities by being dog sitters, or they will house sit for someone, right? So these are people that are going to parts of Colombia that I would never go to, because they might be like up in the hills, where there's like the jungle and the trees and everything. And that's how they're able to travel. They're just paying for their own airfare, but they're now, staying at someone's house, watching the house, watering the plants and taking care of the animals. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's a different perspective. That's a different way of looking at life and traveling. And then even people from Tulsa Remote, after their year, a lot of people do end up, if they do leave Tulsa, it's because of the cold. And I'm gonna be very honest with y'all. Tulsa's winters are not bad. And I can say that, I guess, because I'm coming from New York. So, in New York, our winters are longer, right? It is Jen, that's a great travel hack, right? Being a house sitter and a dog sitter is definitely a huge travel hack. I haven't done it. I've read about it. I've seen the websites. I'm afraid to do it. But yeah, so it's like, you have to just think outside of the box. And I think that's the beautiful part. So again, you got to just be around those conversations so that you can hear what people are doing, because that's how I ended up in Colombia. Right. Because I'm now, people in Tulsa Remote, they're having conversations. They're like, oh, I'm going to go away, for 3 months. I'm going to go to Colombia and Panama. And then Brazil. And I'm like, and I met someone else, and they're like, oh yeah, so and so, she flip flops between Tulsa and this country, and I'm like, word. And so now you start reaching out to these people and having conversations because it's intriguing. Because now you're like, well, tell me a little bit more because really. And that is something that I aspire to do. Like, I love it. That's why I'm trying to get Jelly Bean trained, because Jelly Bean still has that little gangster in him and he wants to bark at everything. But I'm like, no, Jelly Bean, we're gonna be on them planes. You gonna go on some trips, okay? You are gonna be passport ready, because we need you to be passport ready, because mommy got to go. All right. Last thing Jen said before we head out of here is that I read about it too, and I know a few people that do it. Absolutely, right? And I just tell people, like, so often, especially if your circle, right? If your circle of people are not doing these things, then you have to be very intentional of going out there and finding the people that are. Because there are people out there who are doing it. And it's a lot of us who are sharing our journeys for the mere fact of, not because we want to monetize. People think that a lot of us do these things, oh, you're just trying to make money. No, the reality is there's someone out there who's going through this, who's sitting in their room, sitting in their car, miserable, don't think that moving is possible, right? I've been told, oh, you're privileged. And I'm like, I just made a decision. Like, I decided I had to choose, because I too was sitting in my way. The biggest thing that my therapist said to me in 2022, she said, no, you created a narrative that is keeping you in New York. She said, it's not the reality, it's your narrative. She said, so if you want that to continue to be the narrative, then you are writing the story. She said, and you're living it. So there's no reason for you to be upset, to be mad, until you look at yourself and say, I'm creating this and I'm ready to make a change, and I made a change. And that's all that it was. And I had to get the support of my family, because again, we're all going through changes and transitions at the same time. My mom was coming out of having surgery and having to heal. She had to move in with me in my Brooklyn apartment, like in 2021. So she's been there for a couple of years. And I'm just like, and everyone else is like, oh, but this is New York. This is the best place on earth. And I'm just like, yeah, not for everyone. I'll pass. And I'm just still there because it's like, well, my family needs me, and this person needs me, and my job needs me. And then I just said, I'm done. And I quit my last in-person job in 2021, found remote. And again, I did this in 2021. Didn't know what was about to happen. 2 months after I did that, my mom ends up in the hospital, and I have to become a caregiver. Wow. So just imagine if I didn't listen to God when God said to leave. I would not have been able to help take care of her. I would have been fighting and going through battles and having to do FMLA paperwork, because you know how jobs are. They're like, no, we want you in the building, and you can't be remote. So I made these decisions beforehand because I was listening to God. God was telling me to do all of these things. And this is why I say, so often people don't understand why you're doing things. They don't understand. People be like, and y'all know me, 2015, I quit my first job. The first time I ever walked away from a job. And when I did it again, people were like, yo, you're really bugging. But it was like God had to set things up, because he's like, I know what's about to come. Y'all forget this part. He knows the end. So he's not telling you to do something and just because it's all willy-nilly. No, he's like, because I already know what's about to happen next. If you listen to me, you're going to be set up. You're going to be prepared. It's not going to be overwhelming. And I mean, I went from in person, and literally one of my contracts was like, oh yeah, we need somebody for long term. Okay. And I got it. And then it was just like, I'm chilling, I'm doing my remote thing. And next thing you know, we get the phone call, mommy's in the hospital. And it's like, oh, wow. And then it was just like, that's why you had me make that shift in October. That makes sense now. It didn't make sense to me. Right. But I had to understand, I know you're doing this for a reason. And then we went through the motions, and I had to uncover a lot of other things, right? And I had issues driving on the highway in New York. I was like petrified. So I was getting stuck in New York because I can't drive on the highway. And in order for me to get out of New York, you have to do what? You got to get on the highway. So I had to fight that. I had to face that. That was my 2022 challenge. Where did I end up in the end of in October of 2022? Where did I end up? In Myrtle Beach. Had to drive there by myself, pack my car, and let's go. You don't realize what God is trying to do, because in the 2023, here it is. I get a text message. Here's a video. Tanisha, go ahead. Apply for this. You should look into this. And I said, God, should I? And I heard yes. And here I am. So many times it becomes a domino effect. And Jen just said, I know Jen said, she said, first she had two things. So she said, God knows what's best for you. And he absolutely does. He always knows what's best for us. We just got to get into a court. Like, it's us. And I know that for a fact. And the other thing, she said, he has the perfect plan for you. It might not be your envision, but it doesn't mean it's not for you. It might not be what you envision, but that doesn't mean it's not for you. Exactly. Right? Again, we sit back, never experiencing, never personally. People have told me, Tanisha, look, I've heard every excuse of why I should have moved to Oklahoma. It's no Black people here. Everybody is racist. And I was like, yeah, I do know racism is in New York too, right? It's just a little bit more subtle and quiet. But they're racist. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They're there. They're there too. Don't get fooled. Don't think that Brooklyn is all turned up and whatnot, because it's not. Brooklyn has changed. Oh, Bed-Stuy is not the Bed-Stuy that I grew up in. But I had to take that leap, right? I had to go into that uncharted territory. This was all territory I have never been in. I've never been in Oklahoma before. Prior to August of 2023, I've never been in Oklahoma. I never even had a desire to go to OKC, right? Never had a desire. So you have to sometimes go into the places that don't make sense and just see for yourself. Go with an open heart, go with an open mind, and just say, you know what, God, I'm gonna be here. Let me explore every possible way, every possible thing. I was able to get my book on Black Wall Street. I was able to connect with people that have lived in Mexico, that lived in Haiti, and you're getting different perspectives and insights. Like, you don't realize until you go into a new what's there waiting for you, right? And I'm gonna stop right there. Jen said we need to listen to God and obey, because we can't miss out on our blessings. Jen, I literally was just telling someone yesterday, pray, listen, obey. Y'all know, if you go on my Facebook page, that has been my banner for years. Pray, listen, obey. And most people, they stop at the praying. Because remember, prayer is what? It's a conversation. So that's why you have to listen. And it's not going to always make sense. Praying is not going to make sense. When you listen and he tells you these things, it's not going to make sense. But I promise you, if you obey. 2016 was a pray, listen, obey season. 2017, 2018, a prayer, listen, obey season. 2021 to 2023, a prayer, a listening, and obeying season. You have to just do it. And this is where you have to be a little delusional, because I feel like God is delusional, right? Because he would tell us things like, God, but that doesn't make sense. That's not possible, God. And he's like, no, it is. Yeah. It sounds crazy to the rest of the world, but it's not crazy to me, because I'm God. I'm just here to tell y'all. So if whatever is on your heart to explore, take a leap, to try out, I promise you, try it. Try it. What's the worst that can happen? Because guess what? If you're unhappy in the season that you're in right now and you're not making any changes, if God is telling you to do something that sounds just as crazy as the life that you're currently living, and when I say crazy, miserable, try him out. Just see how everything, and do it. I said this yesterday. Do it exactly the way God told you to do it. I'm telling you, that's the part that we miss. Because I know people, well, God told me to do this, this, and this. They'll do 1 and 3, but won't do number 2. But see, it's not successful. But you want to know why it's not successful? Because he said do 1, 2, and 3, and you did 1 and 3. So you didn't follow instructions, right? If you purchased a piece of furniture right now and they gave you the instructions and you did every other one, guess what? It's not going to come out right. It's not going to come out right. You can't call the manufacturer and say that this is a faulty product. This is not a good product. No, you just didn't follow all the instructions. That's a you problem. I'm just here to tell you. I'm just here to tell you. See how we always bring it back to God? So Jen, thank you. Paula, thank you. Jen, I'm just gonna leave this. Girl, I never knew I would become a homeschool mom, and God placed it in my heart and has provided. You knew he was gonna provide, Jen. You knew this. We had this conversation when I came down to Orlando, and we sat down, and which I need to come back. We need to have another sit down. We need to do some things together. But I told you that that's not uncommon, right? We have all these big dreams, right? I want to be the president of this company. I want to, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? It's nothing wrong with having those kind of dreams and being the career goals. But sometimes God has other ways. He's like, no, that's not the life I want for you. Yeah, for other people, but not for you. He's like, that's not where I want you to be. I want you to do something totally different, right? This is the reason why I always struggle. People be like, oh, why haven't you become like a director? Because God is not leading me in that direction. That's it. You are welcome. See, Paula, I wasn't even expecting it to be this long for one, and I wasn't expecting it to go this way. I probably got like 3 messages in this one video that I'm probably gonna have to send to my video editor and be like, we need to chop this up and make this into like 2 other videos. But as always, I thank you guys for being here. I'm happy that you was here. I'm surprised. I gave you a surprise throwback Thursday today. It was a different twist. But you got to see me since you didn't get to see me on Monday. But as always, Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Eastern, I am here. I'm live on Facebook. I'm also live on my YouTube channel if you're not following. As always, like I said, hit that like button, subscribe, or share it with someone out there that might need this. But the last thing is that if you want to check out my journey, go to the description and you will see the video. That's the first video I did, and it's in a playlist. So you'll be able to see from the time that I applied to my year update. This video is also going to be a part of that once it is edited, and then we're going to re-push it out as a 2-year reflection. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. And as always, I love you, and God got y'all. Be well. Live life on purpose with purpose, and I hope to see you back here tomorrow morning.